We are here to talk about vocational rehabilitation services, or VR, and employment for people with disabilities. Our conversation will have three goals. First, to describe VR services across Texas. Second, to discuss employment-related needs. And third, to learn how to improve VR services. We want to know what the VR agency is doing right, but we also want to know what the VR agency could do better. This is not a problem-solving session for individual cases. Instead, we want to focus on big picture issues. Before we get started, let's go over the format of this meeting. There are 11 questions on our agenda today. We will ask each question one at a time and invite you to respond. Please take a moment to review the questions if you haven't already. When we begin the discussion, you will see each question one at a time on your screen in both English and Spanish. Let's also go over how you can use Zoom to participate. First, as an attendee, you cannot project your video. The only people that should be visible are the RCT facilitators for this town hall meeting. If you are using a computer, laptop, or tablet and would like to speak using your microphone, please click on the icon at the bottom of your screen labeled Raise Hand. If you are using a smartphone, please select the More option on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and then select Raise Hand. The keyboard shortcut to raise or lower your hand is Alt key and Y key. You only need to raise your hand once. If someone else speaks before you, you will still keep your place in line. When it is your turn, you will receive a notification from the host asking you to unmute your microphone by clicking on Unmute Myself. You will then be able to speak. The keyboard shortcut to mute or unmute yourself is the Alt key plus the A key. Please speak slowly and clearly so we can create a clear transcript. The timekeeper will let us know when it is time to move on to that next question. You will need to raise your hand each time that you answer a new question. You may follow the facilitator's response on the closed captioning or card. In order to view the closed captioning, please use the closed caption icon on the bottom of your screen. If you would like to respond to a question using your keyboard, please select the Q&A icon located at the bottom of your screen to type your comments as shown here. When it is your turn, the facilitator will read out your comments live. If you would like to respond to the facilitator, please use the Q&A box again. ASL is available. Please select the interpretation button below, which opens a new window with the ASL interpreter that can be resized or moved to a second screen if you need. If you have additional responses after the meeting ends, you may submit your comments using our online survey. You will receive the survey link in an email following the meeting. Please keep in mind that this option is for town hall questions only and not for personal questions or individual concerns or circumstances. If you have questions or concerns about services for a specific person or individual case, VR experts are available to chat privately with you. Please use the chat box to let us know that you have a case-related inquiry so we can address it. Finally, if for some reason there is an interruption in internet service before the meeting ends, you may re-enter the meeting using the same link you received when you registered. Your kind consideration is greatly appreciated. If you have questions about anything that we have just covered, please use the chat box to ask for assistance at any time during the meeting. Do you have questions before we begin? If not, then we'll begin. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining the Rehabilitation Council of Texas today. We are happy to host the town hall. My name is April Pulries. I am a council member. I am a Hispanic woman with purple hair and a teal shirt in my home office, highlighted with blues and whites everywhere. I am joined by my co-host, Amanda. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Amanda Bowden, and I am joining you at the Tyler location.
Terrific. Thank you, Amanda. We are about to get started. I'm going to remind each of you before we go through our questions that you'll be able to raise your hand, and you'll be unmuted, and we will allow you to answer the question. You can also put your answers in the Q&A section of Zoom if you prefer not to provide that with audio. So with that being said, we are going to go straight into our questions. About VR services. 1, please describe your experiences with the VR agency and staff. Once again, I'll repeat it. Please describe your experiences with the VR agency and staff. I will remind you that you can raise your hand to be acknowledged, or you can also type it into our Q&A section as well.
Okay, Valerie has raised her hand. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Just so you know, I'm in the DFW area. Our experiences they vary from staff to staff. We have worked with 3 different counselors, and one counselor wasn't well versed on the process and had to go ask questions to another counselor. Another counselor sounded very well versed, very professional, as if she was talking from a script, which was extremely helpful. And a third counselor seemed to bounce from question to question, not really in any specific order. And so we were quite confused. To clarify, I have 2 children using services. And so I asked a lot of questions for the second and third counselor I was talking about, only because the first counselor we spoke of really wasn't sure what she was doing. So I didn't know if there was a list of questions that counselors use upon their first meeting with a client, or if each counselor has a different starting point, or if they have a very general guidance and just go on themselves.
Thank you very much for providing us that feedback. Do we have any other hands raised?
Bobby, I've allowed you to speak. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Bobby. I'd like to just provide my experience. I feel like I'm the poster boy for the services. I have a degenerative eye disease called keratoconus. Um, I'm 44 years old, professional working. I currently am I'm a federal agent with the um, disaster assistance office. Prior to that, I've worked in mortgage for a long time. So I prior to 2018, I went to a lot of different doctors. They gave me glasses, gave me contacts, still couldn't see. Couldn't really drive at night. So I end up getting linked in with the services some type of way. I can't remember how, and it totally changed my life for the better. I ended up getting scleral lenses. It was the first time I was able to see like leaves on the trees, grass, just different things. And it helped my career. I went straight into management because of my performance. I mean, it just really, really helped me out so much. So I'm just very grateful for all that you do. And it really has a impact on the quality of living for me and my family. I'm always telling people with disabilities about the services. I think I've had probably 4 or 5 people that I've told that have disabilities that signed up for services. So I just want to tell you guys that we really appreciate all that you do, and you have a uh, profound impact in life and quality of living. And thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate your feedback as well. Do we have any other hands raised?
There's no other hands raised right now, but Amanda will read off some of the comments in chat.
Yes, Robin Retty has said that she is from the greater Houston area. VR services as a whole have not been supportive of adults in need. The overall reputation of VR in greater Houston is very negative and has been for years. Another message in the chat from Valerie Black. San Antonio area, vary with staff, slow response time. IPE must be requested at times of the planning meetings. Details important to provide services are not relevant in a timely manner. Loss of RA, which is also creates slow response.
Well, do we have some in the question and answer as well, Lisa?
Yes. Janet Triplett says, I am a provider for the self-employment program. I own a business success center that helps someone who is disabled fulfill the requirements to be considered for support. She also says, my experience as a provider is that the counselors do not always know how the self-employment program works. I have to help guide them. As someone also repeated in the San Antonio area, vary with staff, slow response time, IPE must be requested at times of planning meetings. Details important to provide services are not revealed in a timely manner. Loss of RA, which also creates slow responses. Jan Triplett also said the VR self-employment program is a hidden gem, but is complex for customers and staff as well as for providers. Let me answer that one. Okay, another one from I am anonymous is, I am not sure if you want feedback from service providers, vendors. All of the counselors seem to do things differently, which makes things difficult, especially the paperwork. Also, it takes way too long to get paid. I am in the DFW area. And that is all the question and answers that we have for this question.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for all those responses. So will be our last call for anyone to raise their hand or additional feedback.
No, there's
We-
no,
We actually have one more hand raised. Robin, go ahead.
I quickly state that I'm an educational consultant, so I don't ever really have to directly work with VR. So I do get to work with the families in need, and I think very rarely have I heard a family say that the services in the greater Houston area were supportive. Most of the information is the inconsistency, inability to follow through on job placement. Hard to contact, hard to keep in touch with, such as that. So I don't want to sound like I'm bashing anything. These are not my experiences directly. These are what I hear when I do consulting work with families. Additionally, for 5 years, I was the employment director of a local private school, international school in the greater Houston area. And we would have VR services, counselors and come in and chat every once in a while, but it did not ever result in, try as we may, result in any connection with the families and the VR services. Additionally, I've known some families through the years, and I've been doing this since 2007. I am a educator certified in Texas, but we've had some families that have moved out of state. And I stay in touch with them. In fact, one helps my company. And she says that the services, and she's in Portland in Oregon, are much greater. I do know that we don't fund in Texas as we should. So I don't look at this as being, I look at this as a greater picture. Our funding is not supportive of all the responsibilities we really would like to do. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your feedback. I don't believe we have any more raised hands. Oh, do we have a chat or a question?
we do have a question. The Humble office really struggles to provide service, be receptive to families, provide phone calls, sign up students and clients, help in general. Most families I work with refuse to even use TWC VRS because of their terrible experience with the Humble office. And Jan Triplett says, in my opinion, there is a very big lack of business knowledge by counselors and their teams. Those are all the questions.
Thank you for reading those, Amanda, and thank you everybody for your feedback. Any raised hands?
No.
Okay. We will go ahead and move on to the next question then. About VR services. 2. How knowledgeable are VR staff about local jobs and the economy? Once again, about VR services. Number 2. How knowledgeable are VR staff about local jobs and the economy? I will remind you, you can raise your hand or you can provide feedback through the question and answers on Zoom. Do we have any?
Valerie.
Okay, Valerie, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hi. We seem to be providing more information and leads than our VR counselor provides to us. And our VR provides us links to job sites, which are mostly government sites. And we look at industry sites like LinkedIn and Google and various job sites that we've used, my husband and I, throughout the years when we've had to look for jobs. So I don't know if they're just supposed to use government sites or if they're able to use other job search sites.
Thank you. for
And we
your-
have a question from an attendee. No way for us to know about their knowledge base with this. They rely mostly on providers to do this. Another question from an attendee. San Antonio area depends on the VR staff, but most leads and job options are provided by our agency. Our agency job develops with various employers to ensure we have a wide range of options for the clients we serve. Those are all the questions.
I'm sorry, did you say no hands raised?
No hands raised and no questions or chat.
Okay. We'll just give a moment in case someone's working on that. Friendly reminder that we are still allowing for you to raise your hand to answer the question, and we are
We
Awesome.
have a question
great.
by Jan Triplett. When it comes to business startups in the economy, as it relates to their business idea, I think they don't have a great deal of knowledge because these self-employment program teams have other responsibilities and so much has to be supplied. They also operate on incorrect information that they have received about the financial viability. Thank you. There's another question. Another Q&A. When the customer wants to change business concept because they find that this is not visible, the self-employment counselors often make this very difficult. There are no hands raised or Q&A. April.
Thank you, Amanda, for reading those, and thank you to everyone who's provided feedback. We'll allow a couple more moments for opportunity before we move on to the third question.
Another question in the San Antonio area. Most times conversations with counselors tend to be led by providers.
Thank you.
No questions or hands raised so far.
Thank you.
April, we're ready for question number 3.
Ready for question 3 then? Okay. Oh, sorry, I was looking down to see if we had any chats and you had the question up. Thank you. About VR services, number 3. How knowledgeable are VR staff about social service benefits for people with disabilities and other government or city programs? Once again, about VR services, number 3. How knowledgeable are VR staff about social service benefits for people with disabilities and other government or city programs? Once again, you can raise your hand or provide feedback through the Q&A section on Zoom.
Bobby, you can go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I think they're very, very good at that, honestly. You know, I haven't personally had to get the social service, like financial benefits or anything like that, but the scleral lenses that I wear because of my keratoconus, I had never even heard of those until I was 38 years old. And if it wasn't for TWC vocational department, I would have never heard about them. So they recommended them, and you know, this may be kind of a little bit out of the realm. I may have read the question a little bit wrong, but the social service benefits. I guess are you guys referring to like the financial part of that, or what exactly is that talking about in that question? The social service benefits. What is that for, like disability benefits or something like that, or?
Lisa, do we have someone that would respond, or we're not allowed to respond?
Well, that was my input anyway. But I mean, I was thinking maybe, you know, about that. But the scleral lenses that I received, you know, they knew a lot about that, and you know, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be in the place that I'm at now. So I just wanted to say that for what it's worth. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. We appreciate it.
Okay, we have 3 questions. Generally, they are not. I just had a counselor ask me what a Medicaid waiver program was. Had no idea about these types of program. Next question, or the statement, the VR counselors are now a little knowledgeable about benefits for people with disabilities. Someone from the San Antonio area stated depends on the VR staff, but for the most part, they operate fully in the capacity of social service benefits, government programs, and other programs options. Jan Triplett stated VR staff are not knowledgeable about state programs like Go Texan or other grant programs that are extremely important to the new business owner. Some of the customers who are already in business don't know about them, but also even about the trade association or business resources other than SBDC. That's too bad. Robin stated, Bobby, are you comfortable sharing your location in Texas and Houston if the service do not equal your experience? That is all the questions that I have so far.
Okay, and no raised hands?
Right. There are no hands raised or nobody in the chat.
Okay. Provide another opportunity before we move on.
All right, we're ready for question number 4.
Terrific, I'm ready. Okay. About VR services, number 4. How are VR customers involved in choosing providers or VR services? Question 4. How are VR customers involved in choosing providers or VR services? Please provide feedback by raising your hand or by typing it into the Q&A section on Zoom. We have a hand raised.
Valerie, you may go ahead.
We were given a list of career specialists and told to pick one. I asked if we could take it home to call them and interview them, and told we could, so that's what we did. And then we contacted our counselor and went from there.
Thank you for your feedback. Do we have any other hands raised? It looks like we also have a Q&A.
In the Q&A, San Antonio area, they are given a list of 30 providers and instructed to choose 3 or 4 to call and ask questions and make a choice. Another from Janet Triplett. This is a good part of the self-employment program. An 1,800 referral is required before a provider is given a service authorization. I always ask to talk to the customer first. Sometimes this does not happen. Again, I think counselors don't always know about this works. Another statement, this solely depends on the counselor who is working with them. I find counselor who have been in the field longer don't give them a choice and picks who they think is best. Some newer counselors give the clients a list. This is a hit or miss. Sometimes counselors don't even told schools they can't use certain providers, that they want to use only certain companies. Those are the ends of the question and answers.
Okay, any raised hands? Oh, looks like we have a chat.
Robin said, I have another meeting and have to log off. Thank you for the work you are doing to support those in needs.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Any raised hands?
No hands raised. Now we're going to move on to the next part. Now let's talk about employment related needs for people with disabilities. We want to focus on several specific populations in particular. Number 5, what are the employment related needs of people with sensory and communicative impairments, such as deaf, hard of hearing, blind, and visually impaired? Please offer suggestions on how the VR program can improve the way it helps meet these needs. You have 2 minutes to raise your hand or provide a Q&A.
There are no comments or Q&A. Oh, we have a hand raised.
Okay, Bobby, go ahead.
All right, it's me again. As far as the low vision aspect of it, so in Dallas, there's a low vision center. I'd say just kind of keep doing what you're doing. As far as my experience, there's a low vision center in Dallas. I think his name is Dr. Selico, but they have all these different devices for low vision. kind of forget the name of some of them. Easy Reader is one of them, I believe. They're like these really high tech machines or whatever they are, and they're really helpful. I didn't personally have to use one of those because my condition wasn't as bad as some, but I just say just keep connecting individuals with and again, I'm speaking from the visually impaired um aspect of it. Just connecting them with the doctor, the right doctors, and the specialty doctors like you have been doing. So that's my input on that.
Thank you for your feedback. No hands raised or Q&A.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next question. Number 6. What are the employment-related needs of people with neurodevelopmental disabilities such as autism, IDD, ADHD, or learning disorders? Please offer suggestions on how the VR program can improve the way it helps meet these needs.
I think we had a Q&A come in right when you were answering. Do you want me to go back and read that one?
Yes, please.
From Jan Triplet. Not every person, able or not, is best suited for a job. Sometimes a self-employment option is best. I have worked with people with all kinds of sensory issues. Counselors need to look beyond the disability to what the customer wants. Control, freedom, independence, etc. And not shove people into vending machines as they did during COVID. There is so much tech out there now. That's all the chat or the Q&A, I mean. Oh, no. Looks like we have more. Oh, no, that's still the same one. Oh, wait, we have Jan again, Jan Triplet. Again, please see the last answer. Any disability can be reasonably accommodated in a different way as a business owner. Thank you for your feedback. Do we have any hands raised?
Valerie.
Valerie, go ahead.
So all of these disorders are with each of my children. I believe, first of all, it helps for our counselor and our career specialist remember what our disorders are, because the client may get frustrated if they have to repeat what their disorders are, make them feel like they're really not being listened to or they're not important. You've got sensory, you've got audio processing, needs to be allowed time to process what's being said and then process how they're going to reply and what they're going to say. You've got individuals that think very black and white and follow a checklist. You've got people who need to take breaks, people with limited availability to pick up a certain amount of weight. Gosh, I don't have my list in front of me. But I mean, it pretty much starts with the counselor and the career specialist making the client feel seen and heard, to remember and not always have to be reminded what their disabilities and their needs are.
Okay, we have somebody from the chat. Lario, sorry for mispronouncing, Alvarado says, as a job placement specialist, I have seen the effectiveness of using work experience. I provide the customer with to demonstrate their skill in being a good match for employers' needs. Employers are afforded the chance to observe and train customers for the position that they are seeking to fill. Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you, Amanda. We do have some in the Q&A. Jan Triplett, there is a supported self-employment program that can also help parents with children with one of these disabilities. I don't work in this area, but I know of some great successes. More PR and more willingness by staff to encourage this. Most businesses do not fall in the first 5 years. Most businesses do not fail in the first 5 years. Owing money, this changed their minds about what they do and how they do it. And then we have anonymous attendee. It is important to understand the needs of all clients, and it requires the provider to ask specific questions that target their strengths and abilities, and continued discussions, even when the employment match has been found. And that is Q&A. Do we have hands raised?
No, we do not. Now we're going to go to number 7. What are the employment-related needs of people with physical mobility difficulties or neurological impairments, such as brain injury, epilepsy, cerebral palsy? Please offer suggestions on how the VR program can improve the way it helps meet these needs. Please let us know if you have a hand raise or a Q&A.
Currently do not have either of those. Oh, we do have a Q&A. Jan Triplett, again, there are supported self-employment programs to provide mentors and others.
Thank you.
Are there any hands raised?
No.
There are no Q&A question or feedback.
Okay, we will move on to question number 8. What are the employment-related needs of people with psychological disabilities or mental health issues, such as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, Please offer suggestions on how the VR program can improve the way it helps meet these needs.
We did have something from anonymous attendee, but I think they rescinded their comment. I think it was about the last question.
Okay.
We have a hand raised?
Valerie has her hand raised.
Okay, Valerie, go ahead.
To allow, if there are jobs, where they allow short breaks. So individuals can regroup. If there's some kind of, if there's an opportunity for a fidget item where that individual can, utilize it during that break. If there is a hand signal to that individual's mentor, so they can help them get to a safe place if needed. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you for your feedback. We do have a Q&A from Denona Lee. Hello, I am a training provider. Our company provides healthcare trade education. We are on the ETPL list for TWC. Some of the VR customers can get the education and get jobs as sitters, private duty providers, and healthcare related areas. We have struggled to get this message to counselors. What is the best way for the training providers to work with VR? We also have, thank you for your feedback, and we also have one from Jan Triplett. Having a business and getting support for self-employment gives people with these disabilities have control and freedom them need. They are the boss and they can work when they can and still make a decent income. VR staff, do not be afraid of this program. There are other supports as well available. Anonymous attendee. It has been my experience as a provider. I have a responsibility to negotiate specific accommodations such as breaks, companion animals, and adaptive equipment, etc. That's all the Q&A. Do we have any hands held raised?
No hands raised.
All right, question number 8. What are the employment related needs of people with? Wait, we've already done it, sorry. I apologize. April, do you want to take the next set of questions?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Let's talk about providers of VR services. Some examples include county mental health organizations, nonprofits, schools, doctors, orientation and mobility, job coaches, and employment skills training and placement. Question 9. please provide your experiences working with VR providers. How can the VR program improve the way it recruits and works with providers? Once again, number 9, please provide your experiences working with VR providers. How can the VR program improve the way it recruits and works with providers? Once again, you can raise your hand or provide feedback in the Q&A section. Do we have any hands raised?
Not at this time.
There is no Q&A or chat.
Looks like we have a chat, Amanda.
Okay,
Amy.
from Janet Triplett. From a provider perspective, VR can make the self-employment process more stable. Thank you. April, there are no questions. Or just one more question, I'm sorry. My experience with the VR providers, for the most part, has been positive.
Okay, no hands raised, is that correct?
No, there's not.
Are we ready to move on to question 10 then?
Yes.
Question 10, how can the VR program improve the way that it engages with employers for your job placement of VR customers and works with those employers? Sorry, I'm gonna repeat that. How can the VR program improve the way that it engages with employers for job placement of VR customers and works with those employers? And you can raise your hand or provide feedback in the Q&A section for how can the VR program improve the way that it engages with employers for job placement of VR customers and works with those employers. Do we have any hands raised?
No.
No. Oh, there's a question. From Jan Triplett, VR can make it easier for self-employment customers to find help from other VR customers who are job hunters. They want to. From Valerie, is there a process we can learn? Is there a process we can learn about?
Thank you for those feedbacks. Do we have any? Oh, we have a Q&A?
My experience has been very dependent on staff. However, the ones that are connected with employers, they have provided specific information. In some cases, the provider assists them landing the job.
We don't have any.
There are no more questions or chats or hands raised. April.
Thank you. Want to move on to question 11 then?
I could take the last one.
Okay,
Lastly, let's discuss possible gaps in VR services and challenges in receiving services. Number 11, what groups of Texans who could possibly benefit from VR services or what needs that are currently not being served might have been overlooked? Let me repeat the question. What groups of Texans who could benefit from VR services, or what needs that are currently not being served might have been overlooked? You can raise your hand or put your response in the Q&A.
There is currently Q&A or hands raised.
No.
Once again, you can raise your hand. Oh, we do have a Q&A. Here we go. From Jan Triplett. Self-employment support is so important. So that there are problems with lack of equipment, turnover of counselors, too complex a system, incorrect information, not responsive enough. Thank you for your feedback. Lisa, did we confirm this is the last question that we had listed? Is that correct?
Okay. This concludes the questions for the town hall meetings, and we really thank you so much for your insight. We will stay on if you have further questions, or if you need to raise your hand as long until 1 o'clock. Please remember, there is a survey that will be sent to you for the town hall meeting, both in English and in Spanish. Thank you so much. There are two. Okay. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Bobby. Q&A for Jan. Are the next town halls going to be the same questions? I would really like to speak to someone about these issues and why self-employment is not part of this town hall. We will have one more town hall meeting in May
May 6th.
6th. And if you do not have any questions, you are more than welcome to log off, or you are more than welcome to stay on to ask questions.
Jan has raised her hand. Go ahead, Jen.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you do these town halls. I think it's very important. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the self-employment program. I am concerned that I know that VR has just, been folded underneath Texas Workforce Commission, and it is complex even before it was folded under. But I am concerned that there is not a lot of support given to the counselors or the staff, or even the providers and the customers with this really wonderful program. To my mind, this is the very best program that the state offers. And I want to know what I can do other than keep bringing up these issues.
Thank you so much for your comment. There. Jay, your comment has been noted, and we will discuss with the VR counselors. Thank you. She has another hand raised. Or is it?
Yeah, go ahead, Jan.
Just trying to say thank you. And I think I'm still
You're
muted. Thank you very much. This is a real labor on your part. And I so appreciate it, and so do my customers. There's some terrific people out there who could be terrific owners if they're given a chance. And this program does that, but it needs to be fully integrated into this program and not a stepchild. Thank you. I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for letting me come.
Thank you. It is 10 minutes before 1 o'clock. If you still have a question, you could put it in the Q&A or you can raise your hand. If not, you are more than welcome to log off. Thank you.
This is April Porries. This is the last minute of our town hall. We would like to thank everyone who participated, and I'd like to thank my co-host Amanda for helping us out today.
Thank you, April.
Amanda.
I think we're closing out. I think we're ready to close out.
Are we closing out? Okay, we're gonna close it out. Okay.
Yes, we're going to go ahead and close. Thank you so much for all your participation and help.
Thank you, Lisa.